All right, good afternoon. We have gone live. We're going to give people a couple minutes here, maybe 90 seconds or so to get loaded into the webinar today. Good afternoon, and thank you for taking some time to join us.
Larry, how many participants in the room?
Yeah, we had 185 RSVP'd for today's webinar. It's a great turnout for our industry, tourism industry. Great to see. We'll see how many have the time to make it today, but we will be, obviously we're recording this session and we'll be sending out a recap, obviously with links to all the presentations as well. And with that, we can kind of get moving, and as people log on, they can join us where we're at in the presentation. So without further ado, I'm Leroy Bridges, Vice President of Digital and Communications, joined by Katie Bridges, our Senior Advertising Manager at Visit St. Pete-Clearwater, and Aaron Francis Cummings, who's the President and CEO of Destination Analysts, our contracted research firm. So we're going to run through some of the latest research. Aaron's going to handle that in a moment. And then we're going to touch on where we're headed from a marketing standpoint, creatively, media plan wise, and also serve up our cooperative advertising program for the year. So with that, Aaron, take it away.
Hi, everyone. It's a pleasure to be with you to share an update on how Americans are thinking, feeling, and behaving when it comes to travel in the period of COVID-19. This is from our Coronavirus Travel Sentiment Index study, and I want to wish you all a happy week before Thanksgiving and hope you have wonderful plans ahead. As a reminder, our company is a market research firm. We serve the global travel and hospitality industries with insights into audiences, brand, and marketing performance. But today, we'll be looking at this Coronavirus Travel Sentiment Index. This is based on an online survey of 1,200 Americans who traveled in the pre-pandemic times from each of the 4 major regions of the US. We've conducted this weekly survey since March 15th, so putting us at 36 weeks, 9 full months. Just so you know that after we collect the data each week, we weight it using US Census data on demographics, so it is representative of the US traveling population. The confidence interval of the top line findings I'll share with you is plus or minus 2.8%. And today's presentation is based on data collected this past weekend between November 13th and 15th. Just an assurance that this is independently produced research to help the travel industry navigate and recover from the COVID-19 crisis. When I present these findings, I always start with some context, a summary of the headlines that Americans were seeing as they answered our questions last weekend. Of course, the election continued to be a large part of our conversation, but American news was dominated by 2 related but opposite things, at least in the feelings that they inspire. And the first being the alarming pace of spread and COVID records set in the US. Daily cases reached 180,000 at one point over the weekends. Americans were worrying about Thanksgiving. Governments instituted restrictions and were imploring citizens to be judicious about travel and gathering. But the second major news was, of course, Pfizer and now Moderna's announcements that they have vaccines that are 90 to 95% effective at preventing the coronavirus disease, injecting some much needed hope, and travel being the obvious beneficiary of that. But let's start with the former of the main news and the surge in cases. Americans are feeling the pain of this. When it comes to pessimism about the course the virus is going to take in the next month, Americans are back to where they were feeling in July. 60.7% now believe it's going to get worse in the next month. Just 14.3% feels it will get better. You can see this in a historical perspective. If you look at this orange line here on this chart, those that think it will get worse, here's where we are now, essentially an upward trajectory since September 20th. And I'd like you to know that Americans just never recovered the optimism that we felt when we headed into Memorial Day weekend about the virus. Americans' agreement that the virus is going to thrive in cold weather.
Really quick, Erin. Sorry to interrupt. We did just get a comment that that they were asking if they're seeing just a black screen. I am seeing the presentation. Perhaps if you would just really quickly maybe stop sharing and reshare just to shore up any issues that people might be seeing. You should be seeing a presentation. Okay, we're getting another comment that they see it. So maybe it is just an isolated incident, but just to be safe, appreciate that, and sorry about the interruption.
Okay. Are you all seeing it now? Is it back up?
Not quite yet. There we go.
Okay.
We're good to go. Thank you.
Okay, great. So something you don't have to worry so much about in Florida, but I was sharing Americans think it's going to thrive in cold weather. But let's look at the impact of this surge on how Americans are feeling about travel. Well, their concerns about contracting COVID are rising after we had a little reprieve last week. The dark blue line on this chart is the level of concern they're feeling about friends and relatives contracting the virus on a scale from 0 to 10. And the light blue line is the level of concern they feel about personally contracting it. And both of these went up, putting us again back to where we were at the end of summer. So looking at this by region, here are those two metrics broken out. Those in the Northeast, I know provide a large trip volume to those of you there in St. Petersburg, Clearwater. They're particularly concerned in the Northeast. In the South, southern region where we have Florida placed, a little less so, but still we do see heightened concerns about contracting the virus. The trajectory of the pandemic and the anxiety that it's causing, it continues to depress how Americans feel about travel in the near term. So what you're looking at now is excitement levels for taking a potential getaway in the next month. And those with high excitement levels about that plummeted over 7 percentage points since last week to 42.1%. And this is quite a dip from where we were just last month. And it puts us at historically similar to July. That's the last time this sentiment was so low. This is the excitement levels for travel inspiration. This declined nearly 4% since last week, and openness to travel inspiration is now at the lowest level it's been since August 9th. And if you look over here at the blue line on the right-hand side of this chart, this is the percent of American travelers that agree they've lost their interest in travel for the time being. And this is heading in the wrong direction from where we want it. So it's increased to 46.2% from 43.1% in the last week. And if you keep focusing on the blue line on this chart on the right of your screen, this is the percent that agree they wouldn't be able to fully enjoy travel if they took a trip right now. And I think this is an important measure for travel's recovery because we want our customers to feel comfortable. But this week, nearly 60% said they essentially couldn't relax if they traveled right now. Even worse, nearly 47% take this a step further, agreeing they would feel guilty traveling right now, almost 20 percentage points more than those that wouldn't feel guilty traveling. And when directly asked if the recent increases in COVID cases around the country made them less likely to travel in the next 3 months, 62.8% said yes, and that's a 2.5% increase from last week. And if we look at our travel marketability index, we can see the adverse impact of the surge in greater context. This is an index that we've been doing since the beginning of this study. We use these 4 metrics in order to help predict how marketable Americans overall are feeling about travel and which segments are more or less marketable. So this is the bell curve of that marketability index. More Americans have moved into the red part of the bell curve, meaning they're not especially marketable for travel right now. We've got fewer in the potentially marketable phase and even fewer in the easily to convert phase. And we see this across the board in the many segments we track. I'll show you just a few. You can see the fall off in air and cruise travelers for marketability. We see a decline in travel marketability across genders, but especially with women. All generations were impacted, and it is across the whole US where we're seeing declines in marketability, even whether one lives in a city or rural area. and even by lodging preference. Although interestingly, vacation rental travelers did not have as much of a fall off in their travel marketability as compared to like luxury hotel travelers, for example. And as we've seen time and again, these feelings do lead to behaviors. This week, 47.4% say they've canceled or postponed an upcoming leisure trip because of the recent increases in COVID cases, and that went up 5.6% in 1 week. 31.7% report they canceled a Thanksgiving Day trip this year that they had intended to take. So in summary, on sentiment, American travelers are largely feeling that the pandemic situation isn't going to improve in the next month, and they're increasingly concerned about contracting the virus. And the trajectory of the pandemic and the anxiety that's causing is depressing how Americans feel about travel for the near term, with excitement and openness down, but guilt and discomfort up. And the decline in travel marketability is spanning across traveler segments, and the recent surge has resulted in nearly half of American travelers canceling or postponing a trip. Nearly 1/3 saying they canceled a Thanksgiving Day trip that they had wanted to take. So as we are right on the holidays here, wanted to revisit questions about Americans' plans to travel this season, see what holiday travel might look like, and identify any potential marketing opportunities. So first, we asked Americans whether they traveled during the holiday season to participate in any holiday celebrations back in 2019, and about 55% said that they had. And we asked if they had plans to travel the holiday season this year, and 29.8% said that they will take a trip for one or more of those holidays. We asked if they would be traveling to participate in any specific holiday celebration. There looks like there's a little uptick since October when we last asked this question, and travelers saying they'll travel for Christmas. But if we compare 2019 to what people are feeling about 2020, we of course see how much COVID has impacted travel this season. We had over half of Americans say they traveled for the holidays last year, and about 30% say they plan to travel for the holidays this year. But I've been saying that this could have been a lot worse, so we'll take our 30%. 46.4% now say they have friends or family who normally travel during the holidays, but who will not this season, and that went up from the last time we asked in October. Those who will travel during the holidays, so we like these people, they're saying they're going to take 2.5 holiday-related trips on average. And the majority of them will travel by car, as you expect. However, 29.3% say they will travel by air, although that's gone down a bit from when we last asked in October. The most common holiday traditions they're going to participate in are holiday meals and gift giving, great for our economy. But the rate at which they're going to participate in these, of course, shows COVID's continued impact on our culture. In fact, a majority of American travelers, almost 60%, say that because of coronavirus, they'll be changing aspects of one or more of their holiday traditions this year. And it's just, of course, linked to our fears about COVID. 57% of Americans say they're worried about spending time with loved ones over the holidays because of the virus. So in summary, holiday travel expectations are tracking below what we saw in 2019. Those who will travel during the holidays, though, are going to take 2.5 trips on average. In fact, they're almost 30% saying they'll travel by air. But worry about spending time with loved ones this season may dampen our expectations. And this virus is altering our traditions this year. All right, so while feelings about travel in the short term may be depressed, there do continue to be positive indicators about travel's future. So concerns about the virus's impact on our national economy, these are extremely elevated, but they did drop in the last week. And if we look at this historically, we are in one of the lower points in this metric during the pandemic. And American travelers with high concerns about the pandemic's impact on their personal finances, that decreased almost 4 points to 54.8%. And this is the second lowest it has been during the 9 months of the pandemic. And Americans who say discounts and price cuts could motivate them to take a trip, that increased again this week to 40.5% after we had a drop off in this metric a month ago. And American state of mind about travel remains steadfast. So if you look over on the blue line on this chart, you see that 57.1% of American travelers express a readiness mindset versus a hesitation mindset when it comes to travel, and that stayed stable. And here are the perceptions of over 24 travel activities that we track. This is the percent that feel these activities are unsafe. On average, these travel activities are perceived as unsafe by 53.9%. We look at this over time, although we made a little V here in the last weeks. Note that the perception of travel and leisure activities as unsafe has not returned to peaks that we recorded in either July or April. So even though cases are the worst they've been, the blame or the perception of travel activities as unsafe has just not returned. So I've been seeing travel's getting a bit of a break after our industry was really villainized in the early stage of the pandemic. Travel also continues to happen. 23.1% of American travelers have taken a trip by air during the pandemic, and 58.1% have taken a road trip. Both of those modest increases since we started asking this question. And nearly 80% have at least tentative trip plans for some time in the next year. We're seeing movement to May 2021 or later. And this chart is showing you when Americans say they anticipate their next air and road trips to be. Air is the light blue and road is the dark blue in this chart. And you can see Americans are still anticipating travel. And here are their expectations for trip length by next air and road trip. They're anticipating almost a week for an air trip and for road almost 5 days. To me, that exhibits a commitment to travel. And their feelings of happiness, if they were to see an ad promoting their own community for tourism when it's safe, is blossoming. It's been growing for 3 weeks straight, now at 38.1%, saying they'd be happy to see an ad promoting their own community for tourism. So on to the other half of the major news this week, perhaps even the best news our industry has gotten in a long while, Pfizer's announcement about their vaccine. By the time they took our survey last weekend, 75.7% of American travelers were aware of Pfizer's announcement about their vaccine, and over 75% took this as good or great news. Americans showed a lot of optimism about this development. The percent feeling it's likely we'll have a vaccine by the end of the year shot up 20 percentage points. And 60.9% said Pfizer's announcement made them more or much more optimistic that they can travel safely in 2021. The development of the vaccine also made people have some interesting reactions. This one made me laugh. So 8% more Americans than last week decided that they're not traveling until there's a vaccine. So there was something about the optimism about Pfizer's announcement making them feel like, well, fine, I'm not going to travel till I get it. The percent that say they would take an approved COVID-19 vaccine developed this year or early next year went back up to 42% from 39.2% last week. And the amount of time that Americans said that they feel comfortable waiting to take a vaccine, that's lowered. And more Americans believe a COVID vaccine that is released will be safe or very safe. That went up to 55% from 50.3% in 1 week. And remember that group of Americans, 47% of them, that said they'd feel guilty traveling right now. We asked them, if an effective coronavirus vaccine was made available to the public, would you feel less guilty traveling? And over 2/3 of that group said yes, an effective vaccine would get rid of that guilt. Less than 10% said it wouldn't. And a recent NPR piece on how Elvis was used to market the polio vaccine to great success got us thinking about what it will take to get Americans to get vaccinated against COVID-19 and inspired us to ask in our survey, what one celebrity or public figure would be the best spokesperson to convince people like yourself to participate in a vaccine program? And of course, the responses to this question were as fascinating and varied as our beautiful country itself. But our National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases Director, Dr. Anthony Fauci, he came out on top overall. But of course, this is going to be different by generation. So let's take a look at how our different generations of travelers responded, starting with the millennials. They went most for Tom Hanks and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Moving on to Gen X, went more political with our president, Donald Trump, coming in strong with Gen X. And finally, the baby boomers. They had the most diversity in their responses here, but science came out on top with Dr. Fauci looking like the winner with baby boomers. So in summary, there continues to be positive indicators for travel's future, including American travelers' personal and financial concerns at pandemic period low points, stability in the perception of travel and leisure activities, safety, and a travel readiness mindset. And travel has happened during the pandemic and continues to be planned, and vaccine developments have made Americans more hopeful about travel in 2021. And just one final note, I like this. This reminded me about the positivity that travel industry can play in human culture. We asked Americans if they actively look for minority-owned local businesses in the destinations they visit. Nearly half of them said yes, and this behavior is more pronounced amongst younger travelers. Almost 2/3 of millennial age travelers say they actively seek out minority-owned small businesses when they travel, and nearly half of American travelers also say they're likely to support these businesses on their next trip. And over half of American travelers say they're likely to support businesses that they believe make a positive societal impact wherever their travel takes them next. Thank you so much for your time today. Leroy, Katie, if you'd like me to answer questions, if that works in your agenda, I'm happy to. Otherwise, everyone is welcome to email me at erin@destinationanalyst.com, and I'm happy to help you.
Always a pleasure, Erin. So much great data, and you've got this down to a science at this point. What, wave 36, I believe. Yeah. Just outside of 20 minutes, ran through that very quickly. We appreciate it, and certainly if anybody in the group has questions, please throw those in the chat through Q&A, and we can address those now if you've got them, or we can keep rolling forward. But thank you, as always, Erin. And of course, we will link out to her presentation in the recap that we send out. So thank you so much, Erin.
Yeah, sorry, I'll stop this.
You're good. And obviously a great way to start. It's so important to understand what the consumer's thinking and feeling as we build a marketing strategy for the winter. So what we're going to do now, transition into a presentation talking about what our winter recovery objectives and strategies look like, as well as touching on our digital and traditional media plans are as we roll into the winter time, showcase some new campaign creative, and touch on a couple other programs, including our cooperative advertising, which is obviously a big part of this meeting as well. So want to start off, always when we build these plans, we come at building our media plans and our strategies with these simple, objectives, very simple for us, 3 phases of the funnel that we build a plan around. Obviously the core of our objective is to drive visitations and get people here, drive visitation. But there are 2 other areas of the funnel. You have to fill it with awareness and then get people to engage to move them through the funnel. This is a run through. What we're going to primarily cover today are the new wintertime efforts. This is just a snapshot on the digital front of what we have going on already and what has been running in the background. So we talk about those different phases of the funnel. Primarily what we're going to cover today are the top and the middle, but always on right now, Sojourn and Conversant, two programs we run in the background, always targeting those who are actively planning vacations and beach vacations to consider St. Pete-Clearwater. We also have some custom programs with OTAs, Travel Zoo, that is running currently, a very important program of ours, as well as a soon to launch an Expedia program. And then of course, paid search and social. Those are always important, fundamental building blocks of all of our marketing efforts. And this is what I refer to as, the funnel and where those items lie. the always on down there in that conversion section. We're layering on quite a bit of activity in the top and mid funnel, both on the traditional and the digital side that we're going to touch on today. This is who we're going after. Targeting now more than ever. Aaron spoke to who's not marketable right now and who is, and those who aren't outweigh those who are. So we have to be very strategic with how we spend our marketing dollars, and using behavioral and contextual targeting to do that. We need to make sure we're reaching the right customer at the right time to get them here. And that job, as many of you know, has never been more difficult for the travel industry. All of our website traffic is down. Our conversions are more costly. That's the reality, but it doesn't mean that we can't be out in the marketplace trying to get them here to travel. And important to note, not just travel tomorrow or the next week, but over the next 3-6 months, right? We're trying to inspire visitation over a long period of time here. So here's who we're targeting, who we're going after, the markets. This was not just us throwing some darts at a wall. We relied heavily on data and research to guide us in this, and not just pre-COVID data, but arrivalist data. They're a data partner of ours that has been able to show us behavior, visitation patterns during COVID, during the pandemic. So we're able to look at markets year over year and see who's actually outperforming last year's metrics. And all of the markets you see on the screen here are doing that. Thus, that's where we're spending our money. You can see specifically on the digital side, we're spending 25% of our dollars in state. Our drive markets, if you will. We do consider Atlanta a drive market. That's part of that mix. And 75% of those dollars out of state in both primary and secondary markets. Apologies, I didn't fix this slide from yesterday's board meeting. Pittsburgh missing the H. Sorry to short them on that. But you can see the mix here, and obvious, missing the Northeast. It's not that it won't be an important market for us at some point in the future, but based on the data we're seeing, Aaron touched on some of the concern levels in that region compared to other regions. It's just not in the plan for us at the moment. We'll note picture, especially on the digital side, all of that targeting in place in all of these markets, and even beyond these specific markets with our digital tactics. So on the digital side, this is what our media plan looks like. We actually, again, those ongoing tactics are live. They've been live. That's that top portion. The new wintertime tactics are below that, going live, pushing live on Monday on the digital side. We wanted to wait until after the election to get out of some of that noise. Obviously, the holidays do create a bit of noise, but we're going to use a number of tactics to work through that. The first of which is connected TV, a big space that we've been in for some time. Just to reiterate a little bit, Basis, it allows us to reach many of the different connected TV providers. The connected TV space is very fragmented. Basis gives us the ability to reach many of them through one programmatic network. The other is Hulu. Hulu is by far the single biggest connected TV provider. And something new that we're doing this year, not just our 30-second spots, but we're tagging that also with a premium slate option, which I'm going to show you briefly here. The premium slate is a 7-second ad, and for those Hulu subscribers who are too cheap to pay for the premium version, that's me. You get this presented by a 7-second spot in advance of the show you're watching, and then during the show you're going to see our 30-second spots as well. Here is that 7-second premium slate.
Presented by Visit St. Pete-Clearwater, home of America's best beaches.
So obviously very simple. It's 7 seconds in and out. Want to put our best beach foot forward, given the time of year, right? We're looking at markets that, generally speaking, obviously we have some in state, but all our connected TV is actually out of state. None of that's running in state, but connected TV, cold weather markets, those who are going to be itching to get outdoors and obviously escape to the beach. In addition to that, rich media units. These are really high impactful units. and a number of providers we're working with. June Group is one that's been a heavy performer for us. A bit of gamification, delivering content, personalized content to those who are actually self-selecting. This is not the creative for this year. This is a mock-up. We're finalizing that creative, but you know, that you can picture yourself in an app or on your phone, and we give you options of content to choose from. And the engagement within this is really high because people are actually selecting what type of content they're going to consume versus us just guessing. One of the others is Threshold 360, a startup actually from Tampa. We've worked closely with through the years. They build 360 video and photo tours, and they've built a new product where they actually take these tours and put them into ads on through specific providers, even the likes of TripAdvisor. So you can imagine being served this ad again, quite a bit different than your traditional banner ad, where you can actually click through and explore Honeymoon Island, or and apologize on that, Dunedin. We'll get that fixed. It's not Honeymoon Island in Clearwater, but Honeymoon Island or the St. Pete Pier, for instance, to give people a little bit of a firsthand experience at the destination. And again, engagement time in these units is through the roof compared to traditional ones, obviously. Another one is this brand reveal, and I'm seeing a little bit more and more of this as you're scrolling through a website. The ad actually is revealed and moves with you as you scroll on the page. We call they're a bit of forced impressions because you have to take in the ad. We haven't done a ton of that because it can be jarring, but done in a beautiful, a seamless way as these reveals do. We're excited about the performance on these and the ability to, again, showcase the beauty of the destination, both outdoors and beach. A couple other quick tactics I want to touch on. Retargeting with Visit Florida. We do buy their audience that's hitting visitflorida.com and retarget their user group based on what content they were consuming. And then a nice, really cool measurement tool that we're going to be rolling out that is very new, and shout out to Miles Partnership, who is our digital agency who's helped us put together this plan and is executing this plan. They've partnered up with Visa. This is a brand new, first ever out of the box partnership and product that Visa, traditional Visa has what's called Visa View. It's credit card spend data that we're actually in the process of obtaining as well, that can show you what people are spending, where they're from, how much they're spending, and by category. So quick serve restaurant or gas stations or lodging. This is different in that we are going to overlay the Visa spending onto our advertising so that we know if you were served an ad, did you show up in market and how much did you spend? Super cool technology to be able to really understand what our return on ad spend is, and is one media performer outperforming the other based on this spend as well. So some great data for us to be able to refine the program and gain some learnings from. In total, this is what the digital portion of the plan looks like, budget-wise, broken down. Keep in mind, this does not take into consideration the always-on tactics that are currently running and have been running, the Travelzoo program, Expedia, paid search, paid social, and a number of other items. With that, I'm going to stop sharing, turn it over to Katie, who's going to dive into the traditional side and cover the new creative that you're going to be seeing throughout this campaign. Katie?
Thanks, Leroy. Can everyone see my screen? Can you see my screen the other way?
Yep.
Hey everyone, excited to share with you what we have planned for our fall winter traditional media plan. So we're in the traditional plan, we are focusing a little bit more heavier on in-state markets, and that being Orlando, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Jacksonville, and Fort Myers, Naples, with Orlando being our largest spend because it continues to be our #1 market. through the arrivalist data that we see. So in Orlando, we're running, continuing with our television program with WESH, which is the NBC affiliate over in Orlando through our Beach Cam partnership, and also television ads that we're running with them along with other broadcast media partners in Orlando. And then you'll see in all of the other markets I have, we are running radio spots as well as digital billboards. So our schedule started this past Monday, and we will run for 4 weeks and then take a little break over the holidays and come back strong again in January 4th and run for 3 months through the end of March. And so in our first 4 weeks, we are running 60-second radio spots promoting the travel zoo offer. And then when we move into January, it'll be 30-second spots. And I'll show you those spots here in just a second. And then in our out-of-state markets, we have Atlanta, which could be considered an in-state market as a drive market for us, but I do have it outlined here as an out-of-state market. And so Atlanta, Indianapolis, and Cincinnati. And with these markets, using television, India and Cincy, we have not done a traditional campaign. And so really, the use of television to really help tell that story is important. And so we will be running television and radio, as well as the digital billboard networks in those 3 markets in the same timeline as the in-state, the 4 weeks that started this past Monday. And then we'll take a break off during the holidays and start back up in January. And you'll see television and radio alternates each week in those markets. And we are in discussions with Allegiant Airlines regarding the Indianapolis and Cincinnati. They've identified those as 2 of their 2 top markets for our destination that they're seeing some traction in. So how we can work with them to layer on what we're already doing and what they're doing, so we can see some bookings in those markets. And then, I wanted to share with you our new campaign creative. So we use working with BVK, our advertising agency. Several years ago, we defined our core human value as vibrancy. And so a lot of our brand is always along the lines of vibrancy. And that's where the Live Amplified came from. The Live Amplified brand platform came from several years ago. And vibrancy allows us to do a lot of things with in promoting the destination, from the sound of vibrance, the colors. And so as we're looking forward into how to expand the brand and build off of a new brand platform, we looked at several research, and one of them is this research right here, that the majority of Americans spend less than 20% of each day doing what could be termed very engaging. Most people, if you think of your daily schedule, right, it's traveling in the car, going to work, doing laundry, doing the dishes, taking kids to practice. So really just kind of things that, are on your to-do list. But yet what people crave most is going deep, being fully immersed, engaged, enlivened. They seek those pleasure-rich experience in recreation and travel even more. And you can see that in, people's interest in doing foodie trips, the escape rooms, really just wanting to kind of be immersed in that experience. And so building off of that, we feel that St. Pete-Clearwater is the perfect environment. It both calms and invigorates the senses. You think of the power of the beach, the white sand, the nightlife, our amazing creative cultural outlets, the food, the chill vibe. It allows people to kind of really immerse themselves and reignite their senses. So when visitors experience the destination, there's these visceral experiences from all angles that allow them to dive into a deeper space of noticing things and each other, creating those defining, inspiring moments. In addition, we pulled up some research that we had done several years ago when we were, coming up with this core human value of vibrancy. And the feedback that we received really helped us in kind of moving the brand forward. And this is what from Anita, one of our brand research participants. She had traveled to the destination, and we surveyed her to get her feedback on the destination. And in her own words, this is what she wrote: the hue of the water, the color of the cloudless sky, the differently painted buildings, the whiteness of the sand, the contrast of foliage against the coastline, the vibration of music, its beat and tone, children running, laughing, and having fun, the sound of waves crashing on the shore, the birds scurrying across sands. So this was in her own words, and there were several other brand research participants who created these narratives very similar to this, about their experience. And it really kind of triggered something about that and about the destination and how it feels to our visitors. And so, coming up with a new brand platform that'll connect with consumers on an emotional level and set us apart from competition, we landed on the brand platform called A Whole New Point of View. And kind of what it boils down to is when you visit St. Pete-Clearwater, every moment is heightened, every color more vibrant, every interaction more meaningful. St. Pete-Clearwater is packed with details that last forever, a touch, a smell, a sound. So we focus in on the things that evoke a visceral response, because sometimes a drop of water can tell more of a story than a whole ocean. And so I'll show you now a couple of the creatives that we have launching part of our media campaign. So we have 5 digital outdoor billboards that are running throughout the markets. And here's, mock-ups of those. And so elevate your senses. And you see this environmental shot on the left, and this real textural up close macro image here on the right. A touch of bliss, showing off our powdery white sand. You can almost hear it, the waves lapping against the shoreline, the birds. Embrace the our vibrant sunsets that we have, and dive completely in. And then I want to share with you a couple of the radio spots. So
A paddle gently dips in and out of emerald green waters. The sun shimmers through the mangroves in the early morning light. High above the Gulf, the wind whips through your hair as you look down upon the miles and miles of white sand beaches below, as you glide through the sky in a parasail. Soothing sounds of the waves beckon you to dive into the Gulf during your day at the beach. Just below the surface, the fish swim around you as you snorkel on the water's surface, taking in sea life as the afternoon sun warms your back. Around every corner, the water welcomes you to explore all it has to offer. Welcome to St. Pete, Clearwater, Florida, where all things vibrant and vivid come together. Book fully refundable exclusive offers of up to 55% off with no risk on your next escape at embraceyoursenses.com.
So there is an example of one of our 60-second spots that's running this fall, titled Water, and we have that running in all of the markets. And it's promoting, the discount offer here with driving people to embraceyoursenses.com, which is has destination information and then also some travel zoo offers.
A paddle gently.
And then here's an example of a 30-second spot. This is actually just running in Florida and Atlanta, and it's, promoting the road trip aspect of traveling to the destination right now.
Imagine this, a sunny day, you in a convertible, top down, hand out the window, the sun on your shoulders and the beach on the horizon. At dusk, the sunset lights the sky on fire. You fall asleep to the sound of soft Gulf waves. In the morning, you're greeted with a magical sunrise. Welcome to St. Pete, Clearwater, where all things vibrant and vivid come together. Plan your next escape at embraceyoursenses.com.
And so you can hear throughout the natural sounds that have been added to into the production, and really kind of setting you in that mindset that you're here in the destination and what you can experience here.
Imagine.
And then we're running with the television spots. What we've produced is actually 2 15-second spots. The buy has mostly been bookends through broadcast. So when you come in and out of a news or a show, you would get a 15-second spot, and then when you would exit, when the show would go to commercial, you would get our spot again. And you can hear again that natural sound. We have no voiceover, and that's actually been pretty popular here in some and some brand spots recently as the no voiceover. It's really kind of the images is really what's grabbing your attention there. And so that's the creative that we have launched for the campaign right now, and we're continuing to evolve that brand platform, and we'll be engaging in some creative brand testing, as well as ad tracking testing on the media that we have running to see how it performs. And we'll be we're actually really fortunate that we have a lot of images in our image library and videos that we were able to create all of the current assets with existing, but we will be looking at expanding that library here over the next several months. So yeah, and then I just want to touch base on our Rise to Shine campaign. A lot of the paid media that we had running that's launched in September has ended end of last month. But our Rise to Shine partner participation is still active. And we have to date have 330 participating businesses that signed up to participate in Rise to Shine. And that includes so personalized posters, restroom mirror decals, table decals, buttons, and face masks, digital graphics, and verbiage for social media guidelines. And so that is still live. I visit sbc.com/rise to shine for partners to sign up to participate and receive these assets to help communicate to our businesses, for businesses to communicate to visitors and locals that we are doing everything we can to keep visitors safe, and we're asking, communicating to them what they need to do to stay safe as well. And then moving into partner opportunities. So we have launched our Gulf to Bay 2021 ad sales, and we've been meeting with the Tampa Bay Times over the last couple of weeks, who helps us produce this magazine to determine editorial content and develop the ad sales. So you may have already heard from the Tampa Bay Times and their team regarding the 2021 ad sales. So just wanted to share that with you today. So we are planning to be in market with our 2021 guide. This is the 9th issue of the Gulf to Bay magazine in May, with a total distribution of 500,000 copies. We will be still doing a robust newspaper insert, planning with 435,000 magazines to be inserted in the New York Times and select key feeder markets, as well as in-state in identifying Orlando Sentinel, Jacksonville Times-Union, Tampa Bay Times, and Atlanta Journal-Constitution as newspapers for insertions for next summer. We also do heavy brochure distribution at the Visit Florida Welcome Centers with the magazine, as well as at the 2 local international airports, Tampa and St. Pete-Clearwater. We also have a robust global mail, so people sign up on our website to receive the magazine in the mail, and we get leads from Visit Florida and then also on our website, and those get mailed out each week. And so we have 35,000 scheduled for that. And then also our international and domestic shows. New this year, we will be enhancing the digital e-magazine that we have on our website, allowing partners and opportunities for links directly to their website. And like I mentioned, the advertising is sold by the Tampa Bay Times, and we're looking at a sales deadline of December 4th. But if you do need more time to confirm participation, we can work with you on that. And so the prices did roll back. Ad sale prices did roll back a little bit this year from previous years, but it's still a wonderful publication, and the distribution that we have and the paid media that we put towards it with the newspaper inserts in those key markets for us. And I'm going to turn it back to Leroy, who's going to talk about a couple of data partnerships and then kick off our co-op.
Thanks, Katie. Appreciate that. I believe you have the slide for data partnerships if you want to keep sharing your screen. Wanted to tease these really quick for any lodging partners that is applicable to participate. We have a couple new data partners joining our toolbox repertoire of data, Key Data and Travel Click. Key Data is a vacation rental data tool. As Aaron mentioned, vacation rentals, they're really doing quite well right now. And I would say a lot of the data that we look at it's about flat year over year compared to the hotel side of things, which is down, 40 to 50%. And that's, people feel more comfortable in this environment with their own place, their own space. So key data is coming on board. It is replacing a previous provider, AirDNA. This gives us the ability to look forward in much greater detail. To round out their data network, we'd love for any property management groups to join us for the onboarding so that you can supply your data in aggregate, but also get free data back. So it is a mutual benefit there on the key data side. TravelClick is intended for our independent hotel properties. So if you are an independent lodging partner, this would be perfect for you. Again, there is that mutual benefit of contributing to this product. We'll be using it in aggregate form to be able to forecast better, but also you'll get a data product back from TravelClick to reward you for participating. So they are on the same day, just an hour apart for vacation rental management groups and then our independent hotel groups. For the rest of the webinar, we do want to run through our co-op advertising program. I'm going to jump into that momentarily. I will make note that our media plans were built very specifically to give us the ability to turn on and off based on the pandemic situation. You didn't see any buses and that type of traditional advertising that can be more difficult to get off the road and get unwrapped if we do need to turn our marketing on and off. But obviously digital gives us that capability quite easily. Our co-op program. So we have built this co-op program again to roll out this year. Everything is live at visitspc.com/co-op, COOP. You can find, it's actually this page right here. I'll share it so you know what you're going to discover. This is where that link will take you. You can find the PDF that we're going to run through really quickly here, there. We're going to take you through the program. It is a bit more streamlined this year, simplified, if you will. These are the opportunities that we're going to touch on briefly here. And as always, website advertising. I'm going to bring Irish on so you can put a face with the name here once we're done with this PDF. Program overview. And of course, if you have questions, you can reach out to Katie or Miles, who helps us execute this program, for passwords or online forms there. How to participate. The PDF includes the step-by-steps on how you need to do that. Key dates. We'll have a key date slide when I wrap, but the biggest one is December 8th. That is submission day starting at 9 a.m. It is a first come, first serve program. So you want to, even though you can load in options in advance of that day, you actually hit submit on the morning of the 8th, and it's first come, first serve. There are some guidelines here. I just touched on a couple of those. And if you have any questions, you can refer to this, but don't hesitate to reach out to Katie either. Benefits of online advertising. Yes, I was talking about website traffic is down, but now more than ever, DMO websites are a part of the booking journey because people want to know what the latest potential restrictions are, or what the local, what are you doing to keep me safe? And so DMO websites, as our website has become a part of that journey more than ever. The audience is very well qualified and exciting as well. In 2021, we will be unveiling a new website, and these ad rates and everything transfer over to that. This touches on what those key markets are for website visitation and what the couple options are. You can see some of the rate packages there, extremely affordable when you talk about the getting right in front of the high quality audience that we're spending all of those dollars driving back to visit stpclearwater.com. A couple of the other items are owned products, consumer email program that's been growing and evolving through the years. It has been performing extremely well throughout the pandemic. I don't know, many of us have seen and heard of the consumption of content in dreaming and planning, and we've seen that with our performance of our email program. We offer that monthly, 2 spots Once a month, we send this out. We do keep frequency relatively low so that our subscribers feel the value of that email when they get it. You can see these pages, all of these pages have performance from our email program listed on there. The pricing $650, $995, which again, pretty inexpensive. We also offer, this is a little bit more limited, the ability to send your own standalone email to our database. We offer this 4 times a year. You get the full run of the database, and surprisingly enough, these actually have outperformed the other emails. And I think with opens and open rates and click-through rates. So a nice opportunity just to kind of own yourself as a hotelier or any other attraction or entity. This is the main piece of our of the co-op program that isn't our owned programs, and that is Sojourn. We've worked with Sojourn for a number of years, and one of the big reasons why I love this program is because you get a ton more value for your money than you would out on your own. And even if you run with Sojourn, this is a cheat code. Use our program to run their ads, because we will match your money dollar for dollar, and Sojourn's going to match your dollar for dollar as well. So you're going to get, you can see the breakdown there. We've got tiers. I'll be honest, this program is pretty wide open. We've built these tiers to help you navigate it, but it's super flexible. You can start when you want, you can spend what you want, and you're still going to get the match all the way down to just $1,000 partner investment. We have, the impressions vary pretty widely based on how long you want to run and how much you want to spend. But we've tried to build this table and the tiers to help you navigate that. Sojourn is using a lot of great data to make sure they're reaching the traveler exactly when we need to, low in the funnel, and when they're considering a similar type of products, as well as they have a real-time performance dashboard that's incredible for partners to be able to log into and see how these ads are performing. One last piece, one of the few last pieces we have, as per usual, we're rolling out, we're offering the participation in the Visit Florida official vacation guide as co-op as well. We do that. That is limited to a number of partners, but that is there. It's limited to 6. And one of the opportunities that we rolled out last year, I will be honest, didn't see as much participation as I thought we could, and certainly I would have expected from partners. But we'll match up to $1,000 for any partner if you want to leverage our Facebook profile, our Facebook account, actual with paid spend. So if you put forward $500, we'll match that, and we'll run Facebook sponsored posts or advertising through our account on your behalf. So that, again, that program, all the information is live at visitspc.com/co-op. Let me see if I can, here's that URL. You can find this media kit and all the information there. The big key date, now we'll toggle a lot of this so we can get back to Katie's screen. She's got some of the key dates on a slide that we can share briefly as we wrap up. December 8th is the biggie, but we will get back to you within a week of submission to let you know what programs you've secured, what programs you're in, and we'll get those invoices and contracts out and finalize everything else moving forward. I wanted to touch on one last thing while we have you. I know we're in the final minutes here. We have rolled out also a digital program to help you maximize your online your online reputation and footprint. And all of these materials are on our partner website, which is partners.visitstpeteclearwater.com. If you go to this website, it is right here on the homepage, Manage Your Online Business Presence. We have all sorts of webinars on managing your Google My Business profile, as well as Yelp and TripAdvisor. And in this day and age, all of these platforms have rolled out custom updates for your profiles, given COVID warnings and updates, and whether you have outdoor seating. If you haven't taken advantage of those updates, I highly recommend it. And if you don't know how, we have built materials to take you through that process. Got a couple questions here, and then we can log off. Can you target the Sojourn co-op buy as you want as well? Yes, they will work with you. They use their behavioral targeting to help you get to who you're looking for. But yes, you can help guide exactly who you're looking for, those who have booked into the destination. Yes, certainly if you have any of your own first party data that can help them build that targeting even better, you can do that. So somebody asked about Chicago. We do still have plans to run Chicago in our digital. So as part of our digital plan, Chicago is one of our primary markets. So they will be getting our connected TV, our Sojourn, our Conversant, all of the digital programs I outlined, the rich media units. So yes, they are a part of this plan. So I think that's it. We've answered the questions. We'll be sending out a recap with links to the presentations and any materials. We greatly appreciate your time for joining us today. We thank you so much for your partnership, and certainly don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions. Thanks again to Aaron and Katie, of course, and we will see you next time.
Thank you, everybody.